It's crazy. As soon as I revealed my hot take about Shea being better than prime Paul George right now, which was a little hyperbolic, I can't lie, he struggles and it's like he has his worst shooting night because of what I said. Like, damn, did I curse this man? Nevertheless, hell of a season OKC, hell of a season Shea, and currently he is my favorite player. I'm not wasting any time, so let's get straight into my predictions. Denver versus Minnesota. I actually rooted for Minnesota to beat OKC last night because this was the first round matchup that I wanted. I like this Minnesota team. Mike Conley was a very underrated pickup for them, a veteran presence that works well with Rudy Gobert. He's actually better for them than D'Lo, but this team is simply not ready yet. Ant is obviously a very talented player, but I've noticed him lose a bit of confidence in some pretty big games, and I believe he has to be their best player in order for them to take that true next leap. Also, Rudy Gobert defensively in the playoffs against a team with spacing like Denver has. They're one of the best shooting teams in the NBA. That could be a nightmare. So I'm gonna go Denver in 6. The Clippers versus Phoenix. Oh my goodness, what a first round matchup. Kawhi versus KD, Russ versus KD, like that's just amazing. But even with that being the case, without Paul George, I don't think they have enough defensively or offensively. As good as Russ has been over the past 2 to 3 weeks, I'm not going to lie to you. I still don't trust that man to provide you consistent, efficient offense in a half-court setting when the game slows down. Against a team like Phoenix, I believe that will be imperative. They specialize in the half-court. Also, without such a valuable two-way player like Paul George, I don't know if they can get enough stops on D-Book and KD defensively and then go match and outscore them offensively on the other side. If Kawhi has to pick up kind of both of those roles with those knees, I don't think it's going to work. So I'm going to go Phoenix in 6. Golden State, Sacramento. Man, the Kings, I just don't think they're ready. Like, I just don't. As bad as Golden State has been all year on the road, they're going to treat one of those first 2 games like it's a game 7. And I believe they're going to steal one, go back home, win both, possibly lose game 5 in Sacramento, and then close them out in 6. The only thing that bothers me a little bit with this pick is Golden State and their lack of size and Sabonis. And he's a true big. He plays inside. But I believe Draymond specializes in flipping that switch, getting a little bit dirty, fighting with players and getting in their heads and stuff like that. In Sacramento, they don't really have that enforcer type to match a Draymond's intensity. They're good, but they're a little finesse. Like, they don't really play that much defense. So I'm going to go Golden State in 6. The Lakers versus Memphis. Bro, I went back and forth with this one so many times, but I'm going to trust my gut and I'm going to trust the last 2 years, and I'm going to pick Memphis in 7. If Brandon Clark and Steven Adams didn't get hurt, I would have picked Memphis convincingly. But now that they're gone, I know Jaren Jackson, he's probably going to be in some foul trouble trying to guard AD, and that's a little bit worrisome. Even with that being the case, Austin Reeves is young and inexperienced. Memphis, they have home court advantage. D'Lo, he was a garbage can against this very same team last playoffs. Anthony Davis, you don't know what you're going to get from him. Like, when he's great, but when he's off, as we just seen in that Minnesota game. So I don't really trust him. And LeBron, he's a GOAT, we know that, but he's 38 and he plays in spurts now. And I believe a team like Memphis that has a lot of young, rejuvenated bodies that they can throw at him, that can kind of expose his age. So I'm gonna go Memphis in 7. On to the East, and I'm gonna speed it up just a bit. Milwaukee, Miami. Miami, it's been cool. That was a very fun win against Chicago, but they're too small playing against probably the tallest team in the league. Miami's too limited offensively. I don't think Kyle Lowry is going to consistently do what he did against Atlanta. I don't think Max Strus is going to consistently do what he did against Chicago. And bam, it's like he turns into a role player every big game. So I got Milwaukee in 5. Cleveland versus New York. I feel like this is going to be one of the most entertaining series of the first round, but I'm going Cleveland in 7. Julius Randle is going to be in matchup hell against Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And I don't think they're going to be able to produce enough offensively against a defensive team like that to outlast them. And Cleveland has home court. So I'm going Cleveland in 7. Philly versus Brooklyn. I'm not going to waste no time on this. Brooklyn, they don't have enough trustable talent or chemistry. They're kind of just thrown together right now. And defensively, they don't really have a body to throw at Joel Embiid. Nick Claxton is a great defensive player, but he's way too thin against that guy. So I got Philly in 5. Boston versus Atlanta. Again, I'm not wasting no time. Boston has way too many different versatile bodies to throw at little ass Trey. I don't think he's going to have a good series at all. I have Boston in 4. That's my only sweep. Phoenix versus Denver. I'm picking Phoenix in 6, simply because I believe this is the series where Nikola Jokic's defense will be exposed like hell. I think Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and probably even Kevin Durant, they're going to take turns putting them in pick and rolls and abusing that matchup. And that's going to be the series where we point back at Nikola Jokic's defense, and that's going to be the narrative. So I got Phoenix in 6. Memphis versus Golden State. Again, this was another tough one for me, but I'm going Memphis in 7. It seems like Memphis, they have a little bit of a psychological edge right now on Golden State. And I know some of those games Andrew Wiggins didn't play, but also some of those games Ja Morant didn't play. So it's really no excuse. Also, unlike Sacramento, who's young, but they're very inexperienced, Memphis, they're young, but they've been here a few times. This is the series where I feel like home court advantage will be significant, and Golden State, they've struggled like hell on the road, and Memphis, they've been great at home. And it's a beef, so that little nod gives me the confidence to pick Memphis in 7. Milwaukee versus Cleveland, I'm picking Milwaukee in 6. Cleveland, they're still a little bit too young for me. I don't even think they have any playoff experience outside of Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they do. They're still missing a piece offensively, and Giannis, he's just by far the best player in this series. So I'm going Bucks in 6. Philly versus Boston, I'm going Boston in 6. Joel Embiid just hasn't had a lot of team success against Boston. Even this year, they lost 3 times, and the one time they won, Joel Embiid had to score 52 just to barely beat them at home. Also, James Harden is just not that offensive player he used to be, as far as like beating people off the dribble and things like that. And Boston, they just have way too much length and depth to make that man look 40. So I'm sorry, I don't trust Philly. I don't trust James Harden. I don't trust Doc Rivers. I'm just starting to trust Joel Embiid and his health. So I got Boston in 6. Phoenix versus Memphis. Phoenix offensively, they're just built for the playoffs. The only thing that possibly worries me about this team is just health and depth. But offensively, they have so many ways to break you down. Memphis, they really don't. They have like a transition-based style with Ja Morant. And again, when the game slows down against that team, I don't know if that's going to work. Memphis, they're second in transition points, 4th in pace. They can struggle at times if you force them to literally score in front of you. Phoenix, they don't. With that being the case, and this was tough, I had no idea who the hell I was picking in the West a week ago. It's wide open. But I have Phoenix in 6, making the NBA Finals. Boston versus Milwaukee. All season long, I had Milwaukee winning the NBA championship. I had them last year, but it's something with Chris Middleton that just don't feel right. He started the season missing the first 20 games, then came back and then missed another 20 games mid-season, and then came back and didn't quite look like Chris Middleton to me. I know I keep saying this, but to me it can't be overstated. That is not the team to limp into a series against. They have way too many bodies to throw at you, and Chris Middleton, he's too important offensively. Also, and going back to last year's playoffs, Boston, they guard Giannis better than anybody in the league. So if Chris Middleton isn't quite right now, and I don't think he is, I don't think he's going to be right in May, especially against that team. And they already guard Giannis better than anybody in the league, and they're already a potent offense themselves. It just feels like it's Boston's year again. So I have Boston in 7. Boston versus Phoenix. Yes, this is my NBA Finals. And my answer is simple. What Boston did to KD last year, I just can't unsee. They made him look as uncomfortable as I've ever seen KD look. I believe they could do that again. Also offensively, they're one of the best offenses in the league. The Suns aren't deep, so if they have to worry about guarding them and they have to worry about trying to score on them, and Boston, they're literally probably the deepest team in the sport, and they have so many bodies they can put on KD, Book, and make Chris Paul look old as hell. It's just problematic for a thin team like Phoenix going against a deep team like Boston. So I have Boston winning the NBA championship. I do. That's my pick. If you guys like this video, again, I had Milwaukee all year and I was confident Milwaukee, they winning. But Chris Middleton never got right. So and then that 40-point loss against Boston, and Chris Middleton, his blood, I mean, it was blood on the floor. It felt like Boston just punked them. So I was like, man, that team, they just different. They quiet, they got bored a little bit during the season, but they different. I got Boston winning it all, man. Let me know your championship pick in the comments. Follow my social media sites for all the live reactions, my tweets, all that stuff. Do that stuff. I'm gone. Let's get to the playoffs.